on that right here.
A grant, you said
Okay.
the grant application, what, Ryan?
And the grant process.
Okay,
Okay,
got it. Wait a minute, it says recording.
you
Wait a
are
minute, let
on,
me see. It is,
you and Obi are
we're
on.
not, wait a minute, it's on mute. How'd I get it off of
No,
mute?
you're not on.
We can hear you.
Wait a minute, get out of this. Okay.
Delegate Turner, we can hear you.
It should be on. It
You're
did
on.
say mute.
Yeah, I don't think they can hear
It says
us.
speaker muted. Hey, wait a minute, hold that note, let me see.
We
How
we
get
can
it?
hear
See,
you.
look at this. What is it? It says mute, and what's this? Not one, okay. Okay, let me see.
I just muted them so while they figure that out.
Okay,
Can you hear us?
yes, we can.
Okay, you got both of us here,
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. We can see you.
Can you see both of us?
Yes, I see the senator's shoulder. I see your face.
All right, we're in the house, man.
Hey, we,
Okay.
Just tell the senator to shimmy his shoulder away.
Just gotta lean a little bit, bro. Lean.
Okay, we're going to get started. Want to welcome everybody. Happy New Year. This is our first, of course, session for the new year. We were unable to have a session on last month. We didn't have a quorum, and we are excited about seeing everybody. And we'll get right into it and entertain any questions afterwards. Ryan, do you have a copy of the 3 mile radius adjustment that we made?
Let me pull that up.
Okay,
I got
okay.
everybody.
We can discuss that down the road, but why don't we just get started with the committee assignments that we've made. We've got the grant selection committee that we have established. We've also established the Oversight Committee, public relations, needs assessment, and of course, we will hear from our delegates and senators. We also have requested that we develop a standard operating procedure for everything that we're doing, so that we don't get caught the way we did the last round, where we had 5 members of the local development council, all their terms expired all at the same time. And we want to avoid the impact. Of course, that disrupted a lot of things, and then we lost Shocker at the same time. And that threw us into a real tailspin. So we want to make sure that as we leave, folks can come in and pick right up where we left off. So we want to make sure of that with a standing operating procedure for all of the different committee levels. We will start by opening up with the grant selection committee and Kimberly Hall. And if you have anything that you would like to report, we'll get started with that. Then we'll deal with the Oversight Committee and Dr. Lattimore and Takesha Walker, the Public Relations Committee, and Rashida McElwain, Mary Navis, and Carrie Mack, I'm sorry, and the Needs Assessment Committee with Kevin Harris, Dr. Prater, and Senator Patterson. So we'll get started with that.
Thank you, Pastor Robinson, and good evening, everyone. I apologize I'm off camera, but because I'm not in a stationary location, but I hope everyone is well. As Ryan said, as I think it was right before we were getting started, as far as the grant selection committee is concerned, it is time to start to look at that process from both the timeline perspective and also the application perspective. So Ryan and Kanika and the team have been working to update the online application. I've reviewed the application and provided some feedback. It was also sent to you all today. What you'll see before you in that attachment, if now's a perfect time to talk about it, you'll see the application itself. And then, like I said, there's a 1-pager that was attached that lays out when the application would be due and basically all the expectations of the applicants. I did have one piece of feedback that I think Ryan and Kanika agreed with, but it would cause a 1 week delay. And when we open the applications, basically, if you open the application, it's pretty straightforward in terms of how to navigate. But there's a lot of fields that have to be completed, rightfully so, to fill out the application. And I just think it would be helpful if there were help, like a help field sort of on the pages. So like if you're being asked to complete something, you may have a question about what exactly they're asking you to complete. You could toggle over like a little question mark that could tell you what it is that they're asking for. So it's a technical feature that you see on a lot like TurboTax and a lot of applications or questionnaires where I just don't know what this question means that they're asking me. And I just could use some help. So just anything to avoid people kind of closing it out and forgetting to come back to it or closing it out and what have you. So that was my suggestion. Like it's a small one, but I think one that we thought was meaningful. But in order for the tech person to kind of turn that around, it does take a little bit extra time. But we still feel like, if you look at the schedule and the timeline, that it's a 1 week is still doable. But I would encourage everybody to look at that now. It went out today. We do want to vote on the timeline tonight so that we know what we need to do from a grant selection committee, and we can start marketing and working with the appropriate committee to really sort of market, let people know the application is coming and what to expect, et cetera.
Okay, then you said you put that out tonight?
Yeah, Ryan sent it out. What time is that, Ryan? Like 3 something? Or earlier?
I don't think I've had the opportunity to take a look at it, but if you feel that, of course, with the grant selection committee, you have yourself, Dr. Lattimore, and Takesha. Who else? Is there anyone else you have on that?
No, it's just Takesha and Dr. Lattimore. I have not had a chance to follow up with either of them, so they probably need some time to review it as well. It's not anything different from what we've seen before. But anyway, so yeah, so
I don't know that's something that we need to vote on. I mean, if the three of you think that is sufficient for what you're doing in the selection committee, I don't know why we need to vote on that. But Ryan, is that something we have to vote on?
Yeah, I think so. Right,
so?
Ryan?
Yes, we typically vote to approve the application and the timeline. Just it codifies the process. It keeps everything official. Now, what we've done in the past is both documents have been reviewed, and if there are any sort of revisions that the LDC would like to make, then the documents will be approved per the revisions that were agreed upon during the meeting. So it's not as if we have to wait until next month to get the revisions done and come back to vote on it.
Okay, personally, I've not had an opportunity to look at it. Has anybody else taken a look at it? Do we have enough people that are looking at it that we can take a vote on it tonight?
I didn't receive it. This is Dr. Lattimore. I'm looking at my email now, and I don't have it. I have the template, the grant impact report, local impact grant report, and the timelines, but I don't have what Kimberly is speaking about.
Yeah, I'm looking for it myself. Anybody else?
Does anybody else have it?
That's strange. I'm looking at the email with your name on it.
Yeah. So
it was sent out about 3:23 p.m.
So we're saying that the timeline, which was the attachment in that email, we did receive that, but the actual application is the link that's in that email that you wanted us to review. So we're not looking for an attachment for the application. We just have the attachment for the timeline, not an application. And the application says.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Correct.
I thought
That's
we had
correct.
the application, but I do have the timeline.
Okay.
So you do have the application. Like if you look in the email, it'll say something like the application is here with like an underscore hyperlink. And it should be a different color. If you click that, that's the application. It's just not a physical separate attachment. It's embedded in the document when you click that hyperlink.
I'm not sure about everyone else. I've had a chance to look at the timeline, but not the application before tonight's meeting.
Well, it does not sound like we can vote on it that this evening. Kim, you were saying you wanted us to vote on it tonight, but it doesn't sound like we.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe we can do a quick special meeting after everybody's taking a look at it and vote on it at that point. Any recommendations on that?
Could we also, yeah, I definitely agree, Pastor Robinson, that it doesn't sound like enough people have put eyes on it. Ryan, haven't we also voted over email before? Like a formal kind of, I have reviewed and I agree, or will we have to get back together?
No, we'd have to get back together for this. But we can put out another notice and just have something very quickly next week that we put together. It doesn't have to take that long. You just put out a notice that of a special meeting where we're voting on to approve the application. That'll be the only agenda item. Everyone comes together for a few minutes, votes, and that will be it.
But since we are going to push it out a week, then because of the review, can we go ahead and have edits added, or do we have to vote first, then wait another week for that?
You broke up there. I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry. I said, since we are going to wait another week to vote, can we go ahead and get the IT edits done, or do we have to vote,
Absolutely.
then wait another week for that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll get back to that as soon as we can get it out. The next is our Oversight Committee with Dr. Lattimore and Takesha Walker.
Quick question though, before we move on.
Sorry, yes.
Sorry about that. So as far as that link, or do we have to pretend that we're filling out that application to even get through the process to review that application, or can we see the whole thing? Because I'm looking at
Good question. Yeah, good question. I thought that at first too. So if you click start application, I did start the first part of it. Like I wrote test. I just put dummy data in, and I just put literally enough in, like address 123 ABC Street. Like I did put enough in to save it. And then after that, all of the links appeared and you could go through each part of the application and eyeball it. So you should be able to.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Chairman.
Oh, could I ask if I could be resent that email, because I just don't have it. Maybe I'm not looking at something.
Probably need to resend it all together. Can you do that, Kim?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on that? Okay, we'll move on to the Oversight Committee, Dr. Lattimore and Takesha Walker. We established this Oversight Committee, or started to establish it sometime in February, early March. We've gotten it together and they are doing an overwhelming job, and I will turn that over to Dr. Lattimore.
So good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Takesha and I did look at the template with Kanika, and we, made some edits. I think it was right either before Christmas or New Year's. So, Takesha gave a lot of information that was embedded in the questions that we asked grantees to provide in a narrative. We pretty much just asked them to give a little bit more information and metrics. So we got through that. Takesha, have you had a chance to look at our changes?
I have not. I'm sorry, I have not.
Okay, so all of our changes came from the synopsis that we did last year when Takesha and I looked at all the applications, and we came up with information that could give the board, the committee, a little bit more information as far as how many residents it impacted, give us metrics, how many lunches did you serve, and to what communities did you serve in those. So it kind of gives us some metrics to better understand, because last time we didn't get a lot of information. So I was satisfied with the template that Kanika and I worked back and forth on. As far as the dates for the development, for the grant steps, I am interested in attending the grant workshop mainly because I haven't been and I want to see exactly what's being the information that's being given out to individuals. So Takesha and I will be better prepared to understand why the applicants answered a question a certain way. So I think that that would be beneficial for myself and Takesha to attend. So I plan to do that. Other than that, the dates, um, they pretty much look like the same dates that Kimberly had last year. Is that correct, Kimberly?
Yes, that's correct. I think so. I
They
think you're
look like
right.
they're the same. So
Yeah.
I really don't have any concerns or issues with that as well because basically Takesha and I took the grants and we just broke them up half and half and got them done within a week's time. So, and we have our template. So hopefully going forward we'll get a little bit more information. Other than that, we have nothing else to report. Takesha, do you have
Okay.
anything?
No.
Okay, the workshop is pretty thorough. I think we had 63 people in last year's workshop. We kind of read the riot act and ended up with only particular as it relates to the use of the money. We made it very, very clear and kind of read the riot act on the use of the money. And between the time that we had that workshop, 63, 64 people were in attendance, and we only had something like 12 or 14 to actually apply for the money, making it very, very clear that the use of that money had to be what it was for. We have, of course, during this process, recommended what 3, 4 grantees to the to audits and inspections as it relates to their mid-year and their end-of-the-year reports. We want to be certain that this money is being used and used properly. We made it very, very clear in the workshop. And I think, I don't know if that frightened a lot of people off, 63 people down to about 14 actually applying for the money. We wanted to make it very, very clear that if you're going to use this money, it's going to have to be used for exactly what you say that you're using it for. So we're working very, very closely with the Oversight Committee and making certain that this money gets used and spent where it's supposed to go. With that said, we'll have the Public Relations Committee, Rashida, Mary Navies, and Carrie Mack.
Before we go, Pastor, may I ask one quick question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
On the preparation workshop, is that going to be virtual?
Yeah, it was virtual. It was virtual
Yeah.
last
But this
year.
virtual again?
Yeah.
It will be?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
As far as I'm
And how do
concerned,
we get an invite to the workshop?
we put that out. You'll be alerted to that. You came in. I think you came in after our workshop. I'm not sure, but yeah, you'll get notification on that.
All right, thank you.
Is the workshop available for everyone to attend, or because I'd like to?
But it's available for those who are interested in submitting grants, and of course, us as the local development council.
Okay.
Okay, with that said, we'll move on to the public relations, Rashida, Mary, and Carrie Mack.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Not a major update, but in reviewing the timeline for the grant process and noting that that's upcoming, I'm hoping that we could get interim solution with establishing our social media accounts. And I'm not sure if I could work directly with Nicole or Ryan, who would be able to set those up for us, because we still don't have access to the LDC email or website. Still waiting on further guidance for that. So in the interim, I was hoping that either Nicole or Ryan could work directly with me, Carrie, or Mary to set up the social media accounts so that we can get those up and running and make connections, so that when we want to push out the application and notification, we can have those forms to do so in addition to the website.
Okay, Ryan,
Okay.
Ryan, you got any comment on that?
Unfortunately, that was one of the things that kind of got sort of lost in the sauce when I was on paternity leave. So that's one of the things that's on my list to to get back to. We're currently working with our community partnerships and strategic partnerships director, Diana Leon Brown, to see what we can do in terms of having an overall sort of county nonprofits social media account that would probably envelop the local development council in that. That would be run by the county executive's office. But I'm not sure how feasible. Someone say something?
No.
Oh, I'm not sure how feasible it would be to have a social media account that's strictly for the LDC. Just in terms of communications and liability issues through our office.
Well, you know, I think anything that we do needs to come through the regular format of changing things on the site. You know, we just need to agree to what we want to put on the site, those kind of things, and move from there as far as updating the public on what we're doing, how much money we put out, those kind of things. And then I think we need to discuss just how we're going to go about doing that. But I think we need to just come through the county exec's office in terms of making any changes to what's on the site now. We can adopt to changing. We want people to know how much money that's been put out by the local development council, who's received it, those kind of things. When you compare to what Anne Arundel County is doing, I think they do something very, very similar. And we just want to be informative on the site. And I think that that's a part of what we need to be concentrating on. And then we can get into the social media, Twitter, Facebook, and those kind of things down the road. But we do want to update the public as to what it is we have been doing, what successes we've had, and who's been involved in getting the monies. I think we can kind of get that started even while the Public Relations Committee is working on the other stuff. Anybody got any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't think the website, the updating the website would be an issue because there's already a mechanism in place for that and working with the county staff. It's just more so the marketing and trying to expand the council's reach and getting the information out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we need to work probably on both of those at the same time. We need to update the site in terms of who's received money, how much money the LDC has granted, those kind of things. I think the public needs to know that. I think it helps us to, and it also helps to advertise what it is we're doing. So we need to update to that point at least while we're working on everything else.
Right.
So
No, go right ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna add, is there a way that we can, I'm just trying to think of other ways to draw attention to the website so that we, you know, if we're not gonna focus on social media, or that's gonna take a little more time, just in preparation for the upcoming deadline. So we don't fall into the same, you know, routine as last year or years prior. If there's a way, I don't know if this can be pushed out on, you know, other county established social media sites, but other ways to get folks to our website. Maybe that's an option.
Yeah.
Well, for every time we announce a grant cycle, we do post pretty heavily on the county executive's social media, the Prince George's County social media accounts. There's a press release that goes out. We share it with all our networks. We encourage all of you to share it with all your networks, just to make sure it goes far and wide. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2019, we did a radio hit advertising it. So we try as much as possible to get it out there, so people know that the grant application is there.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a standard list of the community service associations that we provide this information to? We got some service associations that meet on a regular basis. They have averaged somewhere 75 to 80 people, some of them. So I think that we ought to always put them in the loop wherever we possibly can, if there's nothing more than just general update information. Uh, I think it'll help us to build up our profile, and even to the point of the workshop, if space might be available. I don't think that many would show, but they could. But the fact that you invited them, that help us with our perception, I believe, in the community relative to what we're doing as a group with the local impact funds.
Well, the announcement for the grant application and all of that, that gets blasted out to everyone on the county's email list. So that includes civic associations, nonprofits, literally everyone on our email list is sent that announcement.
I think it's good to send it to everybody, but I certainly think maybe those that are within the radius, I just think sometimes you have to patronize folks a little bit more. I know you're saying they're probably adults. We don't need to baby feed them, but I go around to the Civics Association, but how do we hear? We don't, it probably may not help any, but if I can say, well, on this date, this was mailed out, and I normally used to send it directly to the president and the secretary of the organization, because presidents change, they don't pass the name on to the next person, but usually one of the two might be around a little bit longer than just say the president. So just a thought.
Sure, that's fair. And again, if any of you know of any community or civic association or organization that you want to make sure gets flagged for it, let me know what their contact information is. I'll make sure that they receive the information.
Okay, I have a current list, names, address, telephone numbers, and everything.
Yeah, the comments. Murray Navy's you have your hand up, Murray, and then I'll come to you, Dr. Lattimore.
I'll take my hand down. Everything that I was going to say has already been said, so I'm fine. I was just trying to find ways that we could broaden our reach so more people would know that we're here and that this grant is available, because we had such a low participation the last time. And, all the things that I was going to say were already said. Why not use it, particularly the influencers in our communities that have these contacts, that know of these nonprofits, our county councilmen, women that are representing 3-mile radius, they should be pushing this on their social media site as well. As us, but it's already been said.
Yeah. Well, I think the low participation is a combination of us reading the RIDE Act about the use of this money and the Oversight Committee and the concerns that we had. So I think, this has been looked upon. I'm not certain, I'm not sure, but I think it's been looked upon as some easy money that hasn't been oversighted. And we made that very clear in this last workshop that we had. And I think a lot of that had to do with, or a lot of the participation dropped off because they knew that they were going to be looked at and looked at closely. I think that had something to do with it. So this next round, hopefully we'll have a bit more participation. And but still, the RIDE Act needs to be read every time we move into these workshops. This is just not some easy money that you can use and spend any kind of way and walk off at the end of the day with no report, and nobody's going to come and check on you. Anybody else have any comments on that? Go ahead, Dr. Lattimore, I'm sorry.
No problem. So Ryan, I can be your test case. So I'm the president of my HOA, and I've never heard about the grant until I came on to this council. And when I mentioned it to the homeowners association, they were asking me, well, how do you do this? Where has this been? We've never heard of this. So if you could add Founders Woods HOA to that list, I would really appreciate it. And a lot of times the information goes to the management companies of these HOAs that don't necessarily pass it down to us. So that's just a fact. And I know it's out on the website, but the website, everybody doesn't really read the website. So Dr. Lattimore, is your association of 501?
Well, we'll deal with that question down the road.
Okay. All right,
Dr.
but,
Lattimore, please send me that contact information and I'll make sure it's.
yes, thank you.
If you will send that directly around, we'll take care of that. Now, if there are no other questions, move on to the Needs Assessment Committee. Kevin Harris, Dr. Prelo, and Senator Patterson.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. So nothing major to report. We did not meet last month. So we will get a meeting on the calendar for this upcoming month to go forward with what some of the thoughts and ideas that we brainstormed in our last meeting. So we'll have a full-fledged report in our February meeting after the team gets together and meet.
Okay, appreciate that. Then we will hear from our delegates, Delegate Turner, Delegate, I don't know if Delegate Valderrama is represented tonight, and Senator Patterson. One of the things that, and you guys were talking about in our last meeting while we didn't have a quorum, you did talk about anything that we wanted to see kind of get started that you would put into place or introduce at the state level. My concern has been, and as you alluded to, Senator Patterson, we kind of dropped the ball on the differences between the slots and the the slots and the table. That we can. I think we're getting 5% from the table, something like that. And I'm wondering if we can't introduce something to renegotiate that we can get a bit more money off of the table versus the slots. Does something make sense?
He wanted to say.
You want, can he said, can he talk?
Did you raise a question for me to respond?
Yes. I was
Oh,
wondering.
yeah, we did talk about that the last time. Actually, we get 5% from the slot machine, but we had not, as of date, been awarded monies from the table game.
Okay.
And I think that's the big discrepancy that you see. Mount Live versus Prince George's, they get 5% of both. And the big monies come from the table game in lieu of the slot machine. I think that's the issue we probably ought to keep raising, but folks are very sensitive about that, even in the county. So, I would suggest we be very tactful in terms of how we approach it, but it's the truth. Maybe the president and the vice president could just have a private meeting with the county executive just to explore the fact that we're not getting the amount of money as outlined in the Senate bill. We get the money, we can't blame the state. Those monies, the 5% for the table game, those monies come to the county council. So the county executive has the choice as to decide if we want to give part of it, some of it, or none of it, as it relates to table games.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about that on the sidelines. Kind of go from there. Okay. Well, we have also talked about the whole idea of developing a standard operating procedure for each of these committees. While that's not something that's an emergency at this particular point, my concern is that we not get caught short the way we got caught short on last year with 5 people leaving the local development council all at the same time. And then we lost Shaka. That just threw an upheaval in everything that we were trying to do. And I would like to see us continue to work on the development of operating standard procedure for each one of our committees, so that when we vacate the position, at least those coming in will have the ability to kind of pick up where we left off. And that's, of course, kind of important. If there are no more comments, I want to talk about the 3-mile radius. In looking at the map, Ryan, can you put that on the screen? I'm sorry, Delegate Turner.
What you're talking about.
Can't hear you.
Okay. I just moved the computer around. On that note that you was talking about for the members, we had that big problem with new members coming in. Wait a minute, he's trying to, okay, go ahead. And so it's true that we had these members and we had the new ones coming in. I mean, I appreciate that. Also, I wanted to talk about have you heard enough stuff about sports betting coming strong now to the MGM? Sports betting?
I've heard about it. I've been having a fascinating time with the Caesar Sports app. I enjoy that one. I look for a different interview with them every time they come out. But I haven't heard much. I've heard about MGM, but I've been having fun with the Caesar's commercials. I just love it.
Well, I've been trying to get on that committee from the House side, as Senator is on the Senate side on that committee for sports betting. So I just wanted to let everyone here on the LDC know that we want to be the front line, since focus on him being on the Senate side for sports betting, and me, I'm trying to get the speaker to put me on the House side on that committee. It's important when things are starting to kick up now, and they're advertising it more so now than ever, and so I know when the county exec gonna come to visit us through the Prince George's delegation, that's going to be a question asked of her.
Okay, all right.
So I want to keep it in mind that it is coming, and long as we get more money to come in, what I'm saying, for us, we need to let them know that we're just not going to take it lying down. We are on the forefront of this committee.
Okay, all right. Any other comments or questions on that?
So yeah, so quick question. So it's Kevin here. So when the bill was done for sports betting and it was open, because we didn't already think about what will be given back to the community based off that, or that's something that we have to add later.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. You was in the meetings.
You talking about the slots of the whole program, or you talking about sports?
I'm talking about sports betting in general.
Yeah, we had several meetings. In fact, we had to adjourn.
Can't hear you, Senator.
I said, yes, we had several meetings where we did talk about it. And of course, we had to go back and revamp the rules to make sure that we had a gateway to make sure people of color would get license.
You're moving away from the mic.
Okay, I think we're up to about 30 somebody. At one point, we had 6, and then we went to 15. But the negotiation basically was centered around getting more opportunities.
Still having trouble hearing you, Senator.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see. We try to cut it up. Can you see?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I said, yeah, most of the negotiation, Kevin, was centered around putting language in there to make sure that we got a minority participation. In fact, we know that, and I know it's sad, but we got the riverboat people down in Virginia, they were added, and we think there's an opportunity for at least 2 more. But prior to that, it looked like they all was going to be non-minority, and but that was the only thing. We didn't come up with what we call a community benefit agreement like we did for the lottery and those kind of things. We probably should have, but you guys, the whole state voted on that by referendum that said they wanted it. So that limited us in terms of what we could almost squeeze out of them because of the fact that the community people were gonna make the decision. And it did pass. I did have a percentage, but it was a wide margin.
Okay. Kevin,
That doesn't mean now, though, we can't go back. Every bill that we pass, we can always go back and tweak it if we feel that it's not meeting the need of folks, people.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Senator.
Yeah, okay.
okay.
And the other thing we may want to look at, there are key commissioners that serve on the lottery board. They got one up for confirmation now, and I sent a letter to him today because I'm on the executive nominating committee, because I wanted to know, what was your person of color? Just raising the question, what part of this? You can get your answer sometime by just asking, where did he live? That kind of thing. So I certainly plan to raise those questions at the confirmation if I don't get the answer prior to.
Okay. Kevin, does that answer your question?
Yeah, appreciate that, Chairman. Thanks, Senator.
Okay.
All right.
Again, we wanted to raise the issue of developing standard operating procedure for each of our committees. I trust that you're working on that. We don't have a deadline on that, but we do need that in place for those who are coming in behind us. Again, we lost 5 people all at the same time and then lost Sharp, and that just threw us into a tizzy for almost 3 months before we could recover from that. So we need to keep that in mind. Also, we opened up, as you know, 2 months ago, at Tangier, the American Job Center, which we fund. That was a very exciting moment for us, and they are doing well. I have not talked with Walter Simmons in the last month or so. We'll ask him to come back on to give us an update on how they're doing since they're open. But you can find that in Tangier. If you'd like to go past and take a look at what they're doing, I think you'd be fascinated with what the site looks like from now to what it looked like when they first started. So they're doing some great things with dealing with jobs and those kind of things in the southern end of the county. With that in mind, let's talk about the 3 mile radius. In studying, go ahead, sir.
No.
In studying the 3 mile radius, I looked at the 3 mile radius, and what we had with the 3 mile radius is when you look at that from MGM extending out 3 miles, you see that it extends over into Virginia. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. And what we actually have on this side of the river is only 1.5 mile radius. When you look at this, the red circle that you can see, I hope everybody can see that the red circle represents the 3 mile radius. If you look at that, we only have 1.5 miles to this side of the river, to the east side of the river. We have 1.5 miles to the west side. So we're losing 1.5 miles into Alexandria and those portions. I talked to Ryan about it. It just wasn't making sense to me. Ryan, what does the green line represent? The green line is a 4 mile radius. The blue line is a 5 mile radius, and the purple line is a 6 mile radius. The purple line gives us actually a 3 mile radius on the Maryland side, and extends, if you look at it, all the way out to areas of like Andrews, Suitland, and other places, in comparison to the 3 mile radius that only gives us 1.5 miles to the east side of the river. A 6 mile radius gives us a true 3 mile radius to the east side of the river and extends well out to Clinton and other places. It drops south to Winbrook and places like that. So it takes into consideration all of Fort Washington and those places. And that makes much more sense to me. I don't know that we actually need to have a vote on this. It just shows us a true 3 mile radius to the Maryland side, to the east side of the Potomac River. When you deal with the purple line shows a 6 mile radius, which actually breaks down to a 3 mile radius to the Maryland side. That's just adjusting the map to give us a true 3 mile radius to this, to the east side of the river. I think we cut ourselves short in using a 3-mile radius and losing 1.5 miles to the Virginia side or to the west side of the river. So with that in mind, when you look at the 6-mile radius, which actually gives us 3 miles to the Maryland side, you're looking at actually a true 3-mile radius versus the 3.5, the 1.5 miles that is represented by the red circle, if you can see that. So Ryan, I don't know that this actually needs a vote for us to do this. It just adjusts the lines to a true 3-mile radius to the Maryland side, which is what I looked at and began to discover as I was looking at the map and understanding that there's only 1.5 miles to the Maryland side. So I don't know that we need to do anything with this, but to adopt the 6-mile radius, which will give us a true 3 miles on the Maryland side going east of the Potomac River. Anybody got any comments on that?
I vote for
Say it again.
it. You know I'm for it.
Is that someone saying something? Do I hear Delegate Turner?
Yes. I think-
Delegate Turner, you need to get right in front of the screen or put a few more.
Okay,
Put,
let me get a little closer.
yeah,
Can-
put a few more. Put a few more phone books in your seat there.
That is so funny. I want you to know that I agree with you 100%. Can we extend it to the 6-mile radius? I'm for it. You got my vote.
Okay, Mr. Wise, I want to deal with what we're doing first before we deal with public comments. But Mr. Wise just put in that we are dealing radius. We're confusing radius with diameter. But the red line is in fact 3 miles east of MGM is what he's saying. But we have actually talked about the whole idea of extending the radius at any rate, and if he's right, we will have to vote on it. But if not, what we're looking at is extending the line. So we have some concerns about this. We've talked about extending the radius, moving it out further, and this is what we have come up with to this point. If we extend it out diameter-wise, Ryan is saying the radius can be adjusted to just needs to affirmative vote. Okay, we can do. In other words, we can do what we want to do with a vote. So in my mind, we have talked about moving this radius out a little further and incorporating a few more communities into this thing so that we can take advantage of these monies that MGM is giving us. Anybody got any comments on this? And we'll get to the public comments a little later. I want to hear from us first before we go to the public comments.
Ryan answered the question. Sorry, Ryan answered the question I had. I was just going to ask if it would if it would become effective, assuming it gets voted for, would it become effective for this application cycle? And it sounds like the answer to that is yes, right, Ryan?
Okay, somebody's saying we would need to make the adjustments before the grant application release though. I agree with that. The raise can be adjusted if it needs an affirmative vote. Okay, we can, in other words, we can do what we want to do with this if that's what you're saying, Ryan.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Well, our whole mindset is to extend this radius out. That's what we've been after. We've talked about this for 2 years now. Delegate Turner well, it's been 3 years now because we were on Bach Road when I first came in, and I asked about extending the radius, and Delegate Turner she turned so mean sitting next to me. I didn't know what to do with myself. She really lit up the whole place about the idea of extending this radius, and talking to Ryan and to the legal department, we do have the ability to extend it. So what we're going to do is extend with a vote. I guess, does this need a vote, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, we will extend the diameter, the radius, or whatever we want to call it, we will extend it to the purple line with a vote. This incorporates much of Clinton, a lot of Fort Washington, over to Branch Avenue, Suitland, places like that. It will include a lot more of our communities to be able to compete for this money. So with that in mind, do I have a recommendation and a second to vote on this?
I move that I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna make a motion.
All right.
I move.
Okay, you move Delegate Turner.
Second.
Delegate Turner, you said you second, you raised your hand, but I'd like to hear your voice.
Second.
We have a second. There was and a motion to accept the radius, diameter, whatever you want to call it, moving it out to 6 miles and extending to what we have on the map. All in favor, please make your voice known by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Dr. Praler.
I did. Aye.
All right, Dr. Praler, did you? Okay. Looks like we have.
I'm so sorry, y'all. I have one little issue I need to take care of. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
Okay. So it appears that the vote is unanimous. So we have adopted to moving the radius or the diameter or whatever you want to call it out to the purple line. Delegate Turner, hope that we are friends forever from now. All right. So Kimberly, you have your hand raised.
I'm sorry, I need to lower it. That was me voting.
Okay, all right. So with that in mind, I think we've gotten through everything. And now, Brian, we can get to the public comments and those kind of things that we can.
I just had a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a minor thing. So with the vote now that it's to 6 miles, I'm assuming Nicole or whoever will make the adjustments to the LDC's operating procedures, and if there's a charter and all that stuff to include the 6 miles. Is that automatic update?
Ryan?
The website and all that other stuff to reflect the
Yes,
update.
so we'll make all those updates before the grant application.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ryan, I'm trying to, we'll get to public comments in a second. Ron Wise has a comment here. Do nonprofits need to be 501c3 charities, or can they be also 501c4 nonprofits? Ryan, Ron, you've been asking that question for a while. I talked to the Office of Budget and Management. They have a different view from state to county on that question. I've talked to them about that. They have a completely different view with your point of view with respect to state versus county. I talked about that, ran into that. I talked to both the Office of Budget and Management, Kanika, and their staff, say they are not subject to the state side of this thing. They are subject to county. So I left that alone. After you hit me with that question some time ago, and I made it very clear to them. They came back to me. I never did get the opportunity to respond to you on that, but they came back to me and said that they are not subject to state rules, but this is a county decision that is made. So with that, I kind of left that alone, and sorry to get back to you on it, but I kind of left that alone and moved further on with that. If you have another question, Ron, with that, we would entertain that now.
Actually, I just have a comment on that, is that there was some discussion before about connecting the LDC with more community organizations. And I think most of the organizations that you're talking about, like HOAs and community civic associations, are not 501c3s. They're 501c4s. That's why I'm asking that question.
Okay, Tanika, if you're still on the line, does this have to be a 501c3 or 501c4 that's eligible for this money?
Sorry. So when I go to the LDC's FAQ, it looks like the LDC has determined that it would have to be a 501c3.
Okay. All right, does that answer your question, Ron?
Yes, it does. It just means that the civic associations and homeowner associations are not eligible to apply for grants.
No, that's not totally correct. It means that they're not established as one. They can always.
Get in front of the mic there, Senator.
Yeah, I don't think it totally eliminate them, but in order to qualify as a 501c3, you have to establish the organization with the appropriate regulations. And a 501c4, if they want to, they can also be a 501c3. But there's a different process, in my opinion, as to how you go about doing it.
No, I'm familiar with both. I understand.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We can move on from there. I'm looking for. We have a PGC nonprofit Facebook. We at 95% follow. Okay, that's something else. Anybody else with a question from or public comments? Anyone else have public comments? Ms. Chambers, we want to thank you for hanging out with us. Do you have any concerns that you would like to share with us? All right, Dr. Perla. Ms. Chambers.
I'm sorry. Hi, how are you? No, I'm just actually here because I work with Senator and Delegate Turner as a community liaison, and I'm just sitting and observing.
Okay, well, we want to thank you for
And
hanging
Happy
out.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We want to thank you for hanging out with us, and we trust that something we have said or done will have a positive impact and broaden your understanding of what we do with the Local Development Council. Anyone else with any comments before we accept a motion to adjourn from Delegate Turner and from Senator?
Stop it.
I thank you.
Great. Okay, all hearts and minds are settled. Do we have anyone else? Ms. Winton, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't have anything else to add, but we do have a Facebook page. It was created maybe 2 months ago. So any LDC news can go up on that Facebook page as well.
Okay, would you shoot that to Ryan and he'll put it out to everybody else and we can go from there on that?
Okay, it's sent to Ryan and I'm gonna put it in the comments too right now. Okay.
And of course, we always want to acknowledge the lady that makes all of this stuff happen along with Ryan, Miss Nicole Plater. She is doing an excellent job in the place of Chaka. We want to thank her for her work. She's getting up to speed. We've been trying to work with her, and I just want to acknowledge you, Nicole. And I missed you, I think last month before last, but we want to thank you for all you're doing to keep things together, along with working with Ryan, and we deeply appreciate your efforts and what you're doing with the Local Development Council.
Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year to you. We will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, Chairman, quick question.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Can we narrow down a date for next week when we need to take this vote so that we make sure we have a quorum to have that vote next?
Yeah, I guess that is something we need to consider now. Anybody with this is can we try to do Tuesday? I'm just throwing it out there. I can.
I was thinking Wednesday to give us a full 7 days.
Wednesday.
Actually, they could be done. They're gonna take a vote by Zoom.
Is Kimberly
Vote
still
by
on?
Zoom,
Yes.
Zoom vote, okay?
Is Kimberly, it looks like she's gone. And she's a major player in this. I tell you what, Kevin, let us just put out something maybe tomorrow or Friday to kind of canvass everybody to see what would be a good date. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know what that would be, but we do have to make that decision rather quickly before going out with the
Yeah, because the only thing about that, we will have to adjust that date for that application, because I think it's supposed to go out based off the timeline. It's January 25th. So
Yeah.
anytime after Tuesday, we would have to change that that timeline.
Okay. Can everybody make Monday or Tuesday?
I thought we were pushing the timeline back a week because the adjustments that Kimberly had requested for the help feature to give that time to be made. So I thought we were already pushed back a week. Maybe I misunderstood.
We weren't indeed trying to push it back.
We can push back the timeline. We're going to push back the timeline and everything to accommodate
February 1st
the revisions for everything.
Okay.
We don't need to decide exactly when the grant application will be released until the timeline is voted upon. We could release the grant if everything is voted upon, say next Wednesday, the grant application could be released next Friday. Assuming all the revisions are made with the application. So we don't need to make that decision right this moment.
Okay.
Because Kim's not here, we'll send out an email to everyone tomorrow just to understand what their availability is next week. For now, let's tentatively say it's same time, 7 o'clock next Wednesday, just so everything's uniform. However, if we don't get quorum, we'll figure that out by Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go from there. The motion to adjourn and a second.
What?
So move.
So move. What's next Wednesday, the 26th?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody?
Works for me.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we'll look for an email from Nicole in terms of getting that date together, and we'll meet and quickly make some decisions with respect to the changes that Kimberly has made. All in favor?
All in favor.
All right. The meeting is indeed adjourned. Have a good evening. We will see you later. Thank you for hanging out.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Thanks, Ryan. As most of you guys know, Ryan is a brand new daddy. That's who you heard in the background when we first got started. His son spoke up real clear.
He didn't get to know either.
All right. Have a good evening.
Good night.
All right.
Okay. No, indeed. Oh, we get out.